The night was quiet. The wind moved slowly through the trees, carrying the smell of damp earth and fallen leaves. In the small wooden house at the edge of the town, a human father sat near the window. His daughter, only 9 years old, was playing with her little doll, humming softly to herself. Life was simple for them, calm and peaceful, yet also lonely. The father had grown used to silence, but that night felt different. The air was heavy, almost like someone was watching. His daughter suddenly stopped humming and looked toward the door. "Dad, did you hear that?" she whispered. The father frowned. He had heard it too, a soft sound like footsteps dragging across gravel. Slowly, he stood up and reached for the lantern hanging near the door. With careful steps, he opened it just a little, letting the warm light spill outside. At first, he saw nothing. The night was deep and the shadows stretched across the ground. But then he noticed movement near the corner of the fence. A figure crouched low, trying to hide. His heart tightened. It was no ordinary traveler. The figure was tall and thin, wrapped in torn cloth that barely covered her body. Her skin glowed faintly under the moonlight, a pale shade unlike any human's. Her long hair fell in messy strands and her face was partly hidden behind it. He could see her eyes, though, bright, frightened, and full of shame. It was an alien woman. The father's hand tightened on the lantern. In this town, aliens were not welcome. Many people saw them as dangerous, unwanted, or cursed. He had heard stories of them being hunted, chased away, or sold. His first instinct was to close the door and pretend he had seen nothing, but then his daughter stepped beside him. Her small hand tugged at his shirt. "She looks scared, Dad," she said softly. "Why is she hiding?" The father looked down at his child. Her eyes were wide, not with fear but with concern. He turned back to the shadowy figure. The alien woman had noticed the door opening. She pressed herself against the fence as if wanting to disappear into the wood. Her torn cloth shifted, revealing scars across her arms and legs, marks of pain, of a life lived in cruelty. The father swallowed hard. He spoke, his voice firm but not harsh. "Who are you? What do you want here?" For a long moment there was no answer, only the rustling of leaves and the faint sound of her breathing. Then in a broken voice she whispered, I have nowhere to go, please." "I won't cause trouble." Her words trembled in the air, fragile and uncertain. The daughter stepped forward before the father could stop her. She leaned out of the doorway, peering at the alien woman with innocent eyes. "She's hurt, Dad, look. She needs help." The father felt torn inside. Logic told him to shut the door. Helping an alien could bring problems, maybe even danger. But his daughter's soft, trusting voice touched something deeper in his heart. He raised the lantern higher, letting its glow fall across the alien's face. She quickly turned away, ashamed to be seen. Her cheeks flushed and she lowered her head. It was clear she hated the way she looked, hated the scars that marked her. She seemed ready to run if he made one wrong move. "Come closer," the father said finally, his voice low. The alien hesitated. Her bare feet shifted nervously on the dirt and her torn cloth brushed against the fence. She looked like a hunted creature, unsure if the hand being offered was real or a trap. The little girl, full of courage her father did not expect, smiled and waved. "Don't be scared. You can come here. We won't hurt you." The alien woman's lips trembled. She slowly took one step, then another, until she was just at the edge of the lantern's glow. Her eyes lifted slightly, meeting the little girl's gaze. For the first time, the father saw the truth in them. Not danger, not anger, but deep sadness. A sadness so heavy it pressed into the air between them. "Dad?" The girl whispered again, her voice soft as a feather. "She looks lonely." The father exhaled slowly. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing. This night was not ordinary. Something had begun, something that would change their lives forever. The alien woman stood there, shivering under the gaze of a man and his daughter, unsure if she would be welcomed or rejected. The father's hand rested on the door, his heart caught between fear and compassion. And in that tense silence, with the stars watching overhead, the daughter reached out her hand toward the stranger in the shadows. The night was still, but inside the small house the air felt heavy with silence. The father stood near the door holding the lantern, while the alien woman stayed frozen at the edge of the light. Her head was lowered, hair covering most of her face, and her body trembled as though she was expecting a cruel blow at any moment. The daughter leaned forward with innocent curiosity. She didn't see danger in the woman. She didn't see a monster. She only saw someone lonely, someone who needed kindness. "Dad," she whispered, tugging on his sleeve. "She looks like she hasn't eaten in days. Can we give her some food?" The father hesitated. He glanced at the alien woman. Her shoulders were hunched, her arms crossed as if she were trying to make herself smaller. Her torn cloth barely held together, and beneath it scars traced her skin like painful stories. Shame seemed to cover her more than the cloth did. "I don't want trouble," the father said, his voice low but firm. "If you come inside, you must not cause harm. Do you understand?" The alien woman gave a small nod, but she still wouldn't lift her head. Her voice, soft and broken, escaped her lips. I will not harm, please." Just one night, the father's jaw tightened. He could already imagine the whispers of the town if anyone discovered this. They would call him a fool. They would say he endangered his child. But his daughter's hand clutched his tightly, her wide eyes pleading. "Please, Dad," she said gently. "Let her stay." The father sighed, opening the door wider. "Come in," he said. Slowly, carefully, the alien woman stepped inside. Her movements were cautious, like a deer that had been hunted too many times. She kept her eyes low, never meeting theirs, as if ashamed to even breathe the same air. The warm glow of the lantern lit up her face for the first time, and the father noticed something that made his heart twist. Her features, though marked with scars, were delicate, fragile almost. Yet every line of her expression carried years of rejection, of pain. The daughter, however, didn't see scars or shame. She walked right up to the alien woman, holding out a small wooden cup of water. "Here," she said softly. "You must be thirsty." The alien woman's hands shook as she reached out, her fingers long and graceful but trembling with fear. She took the cup, but before she could lift it to her lips, she whispered, "Don't look at me. I am ugly." The daughter blinked, confused. Then, with all the innocence of a child who spoke truth without thinking, she smiled and said, "You're not ugly. You're so beautiful." The alien woman froze. Her eyes widened in shock. For a moment, she didn't move at all, as if those words had struck her harder than any weapon. Slowly, tears welled up in her eyes. Her lips trembled, and she looked at the little girl with disbelief. "No one has ever said that," she whispered, her voice breaking. The father, watching this, felt something shift deep inside him. He had seen the way the alien woman tried to hide, how she kept herself wrapped in shame. But now, hearing his daughter's simple words, he saw something else, a faint spark of hope in the woman's eyes. The daughter tilted her head, her smile bright and genuine. "It's true," she said. "Your eyes are shiny like stars, and your hair is pretty even if it's messy. You're beautiful." The alien woman pressed the cup against her chest, holding it tightly as if it were the most precious gift in the world. Her tears slipped down her cheeks, glowing faintly in the lantern light. She didn't know how to respond. She had always been mocked, insulted, cast aside. To hear such kindness from a child, it was almost too much. The father placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder. "That's enough," he said softly, though his own heart felt heavy. He turned to the alien woman. "Sit down, rest. You can stay for tonight." The alien woman obeyed quietly, lowering herself onto the edge of a wooden chair. She sat stiffly as if afraid to relax. The little girl quickly brought her a piece of bread and placed it in her hands. The alien woman looked at the bread, then at the girl. Her lips quivered again. "Why?" she asked, her voice small. "Why are you kind to me?" The daughter's answer was simple, pure. "Because you need it." The alien woman's tears fell freely now, and she lowered her head, hiding her face. But this time it wasn't only shame, it was something else. Something softer. The father watched quietly. In his daughter's innocence, he saw a truth he himself had forgotten. Sometimes, it was not strength or fear that protected a home. It was compassion. The alien woman ate slowly, each bite tasting like more than food. It tasted like acceptance. For the first time in years, she didn't feel invisible. For the first time, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, she wasn't as worthless as she believed. That night, the little girl whispered to her again before going to bed. "Good night." Beautiful. And in the darkness, the alien woman wept silently, clutching those words as if they were the only thing keeping her alive. The next morning, the small wooden house smelled of warm bread and wood smoke. The father sat at the table, repairing a broken chair with quiet focus. His daughter hummed softly, brushing her doll's hair. The alien woman sat in the corner, silent and stiff. She held herself like a shadow, as if afraid that one wrong move would push her out the door. Even with food in her stomach and a roof above her head, she could not relax. Her eyes kept drifting toward the window, toward the forest beyond. Escape was what she knew best. Run before the rejection comes. Leave before the cruelty begins, the daughter noticed. She put her doll aside and walked over, her small feet padding across the wooden floor. She smiled brightly. "Do you want to play with me?" The alien woman froze. Her first instinct was to shake her head and whisper no. But the girl was waiting, her little hands holding out a piece of cloth she had tied into a doll's dress. Something stirred in the alien woman's memory. A flash, she was young again on her home world. Other children laughed and pointed at her scars, calling her broken. They snatched toys from her hands, pushed her away, leaving her to cry in the dust. The shame of that memory stung her chest. She lowered her head, whispering, I don't know how to play." The girl tilted her head. "That's okay. I can teach you." The alien woman's lips parted in shock. No one had ever offered to teach her, to include her. She hesitated, then reached out slowly, her long fingers brushing against the doll. The father lifted his eyes from the chair he was fixing. He watched quietly, not speaking, but something in his heart softened. His daughter's courage was breaking walls he himself did not dare to touch. The alien woman held the doll awkwardly, her hands trembling. "I might break it," she whispered. The girl giggled. "It's just a doll. You can't break it, see?" She took it back for a moment, twirled it in her hands, then passed it again. "Now she's yours. Her name is Luma." The alien woman blinked. "Yours? You give it to me?" "Yes," the girl said simply. "Everyone should have someone." The alien woman's throat tightened. She clutched the doll to her chest, and suddenly tears burned her eyes. For so long she had believed she deserved nothing. No gifts, no kindness, no place to belong. Yet this small human child had handed her something precious without hesitation. Another memory struck her, her people's voices sharp and cruel. "Don't touch her. She's cursed. Don't let her near. She's not one of us." The words had cut deeper than any blade, and now here in this tiny human home the opposite was happening. She was being accepted, even cherished, without reason. The father set aside his tools and finally spoke. "She's giving it to you because she wants you here." The alien woman turned her face away, her tears falling silently. "But why?" she whispered. "I am nothing. I am scarred, unwanted. My people cast me out. Even my own family could not look at me." The little girl, with all the innocence of a child, climbed onto her lap without fear. She looked up into the alien's eyes and smiled. "You're not nothing. You're beautiful, and now, you're with us." The alien gasped softly, stunned by the warmth of the words. Her arms shook as she tried to hold the child, uncertain if she was allowed. But the girl wrapped her arms tightly around her as if claiming her without question. The father's heart clenched at the sight. He had lived through loss himself, years of emptiness after his wife's death. He had tried to be strong for his daughter, but there were nights when loneliness almost broke him, and now, watching his daughter give love so freely, he felt a truth settle in his chest. Maybe they all needed each other more than they realized. The alien woman lowered her head onto the girl's shoulder. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to close her eyes and feel safe. The shame that had chained her for so long loosened, even if just a little. The girl whispered into her ear, "Don't be sad. You're family now." The alien woman's tears flowed freely. She could not find words. But inside, something fragile cracked open. Hope. And as the father watched, he realized that the walls of shame built around the alien's heart were beginning to break. Not because of him, but because of the innocent love of his daughter. That night, the wind howled outside the wooden house, rattling the shutters and filling the air with unease. The father sat alone at the table, his lantern burning low. His daughter was already asleep in the small bed against the wall, her little breath steady and peaceful. But the father could not sleep. His mind was restless. In the corner of the room, the alien woman sat silently on the floor, her knees drawn to her chest, the small doll clutched tightly in her arms. Her scars caught the faint glow of the lantern, and her eyes stayed downcast as if she were afraid even of resting. The father studied her in the silence. Every part of him was torn. He knew what it meant to let her stay. If the neighbors found out, Whispers would turn into accusations. They would say he endangered his daughter. Some might call the guards. Others might try to take the alien woman away by force. Harboring her could bring shame or worse punishment, and yet he remembered the look in his daughter's eyes when she called the alien woman beautiful. He remembered the way the alien had clutched that doll like it was life itself. Those were not the eyes of a monster. They were the eyes of someone broken, desperate, and painfully human, despite not being human at all. The father rubbed his forehead, his thoughts heavy. "Why here?" he muttered under his breath. The alien woman flinched, thinking his words were meant for her. Slowly, in a trembling voice, she answered, "I did not mean to come. I walked and walked. Nowhere else felt safe. I thought the forest would hide me. Then, I saw the light in your window." Her voice cracked on the last words. She gripped the doll tighter, almost as if apologizing for existing. The father exhaled sharply, leaning back in his chair. He wanted to tell her to leave to protect his daughter from any risk. But his heart betrayed him. Every time he looked at the woman, he did not see danger. He saw someone who had already been hurt too much. Before he could speak again, a sound outside broke the silence. Voices. The father stiffened. He quickly moved to the window and peeked through the gap. Two men with lanterns were walking down the dirt road. Their voices carried in the wind. "Strange tracks by the woods," one man said. "Could be an animal," the other replied. "Or worse." "One of them," the first man hissed. The father's chest tightened. They were looking for her. He turned to the alien woman. Her face had gone pale, her body shaking. She knew those voices well. She had heard them in every town she passed, in every place she tried to hide. "Please," she whispered, her voice so faint it was almost a breath. "If they find me, they will take me. Or kill me." The father's heart pounded. He had a choice to make. He could push her out now, save his own family from suspicion, or he could stand against everything the town believed and let her stay. The lantern light flickered on his face as he stood there, caught between fear and compassion. His daughter stirred in her sleep, murmuring softly, "Don't be sad. You're family now." The words pierced him like an arrow. Family. That was what his daughter had already chosen, without hesitation, without fear. The father clenched his fists. His daughter was right. Sometimes the innocent saw truths that grown men refused to face. He moved quickly. "Get away from the window," he ordered. The alien woman obeyed, crawling back into the darkest corner of the room. Her body shook as the men's voices grew louder outside. The father closed the shutters tightly and blew out the lantern. Darkness filled the house. He sat by the door, holding a heavy piece of wood in his hand, ready if the men decided to knock. The voices passed. The footsteps grew faint. After a few minutes, only the wind remained. The alien woman let out a long, shaky breath. Her hands trembled so hard she almost dropped the doll. The father lit the lantern again. He looked at her, his eyes firm but not unkind. "You're not leaving," he said quietly. The woman's head snapped up in shock. "What?" "You heard me, you stay. But you must listen. You do nothing to bring attention here. You stay quiet, you stay careful. If they come again, we protect this house together." Tears filled her eyes. Why would you do this?" The father's gaze softened. He looked toward his sleeping daughter, then back at the alien woman. "Because my daughter has already decided, and maybe she's right. You deserve a chance." The alien woman bowed her head, unable to speak. Her heart, once chained in shame and fear, began to feel something she thought she'd never feel again. Safety. That night, as the father stood guard by the door, he knew his choice had been made. The town might judge him, danger might come, but his home would not turn away someone broken and in need. And in the corner of that little house, an alien woman wept silently, not from shame this time, but from the fragile hope of being accepted. Days turned into weeks. The alien woman no longer sat stiffly in the corner of the house. She moved quietly through the rooms, learning simple human ways: how to sweep the floor, how to cook bread without burning it, how to wash clothes by the river. At first, every task made her nervous. She feared mistakes. She feared the father's anger. But anger never came. Instead, his daughter clapped her hands whenever the alien helped. "You're getting better," the girl cheered, giggling when the alien tried to knead bread dough with clumsy hands. Flour dusted her dark hair, and for the first time in years, the alien woman laughed softly at herself. It was a small laugh, fragile, but it filled the house with a warmth the father had not heard in a long time. The girl loved braiding the alien woman's hair. Every morning she sat on a stool, her little hands weaving strands with care. "See? Now you look like a princess," she declared proudly. The alien woman's face would turn red and she shook her head. "Not a princess. I'm broken." But the girl only smiled wider. "No, you're beautiful." Those words still struck the alien like lightning. Each time her chest ached, but the ache was not pain. It was healing. The father watched quietly. He saw how his daughter's laughter pulled the alien woman closer, how shame slowly melted away like ice touched by sunlight. And yet he also saw the fear in the alien's eyes whenever the world outside intruded, because the world outside was not silent. In town, whispers had begun. People spoke of strange tracks in the forest, of shadows seen at night. A neighbor even asked the father one day, "Have you noticed anything unusual? Animals stealing food, perhaps?" The father kept his face calm, his voice steady. "No," he replied simply. "Just the wind and the foxes." But inside his chest tightened. He knew they were watching. That evening, when he returned home, he found the alien woman washing clothes by the river with his daughter. Her scars glistened under the sunlight. His heart skipped a beat in panic. "Cover yourself," he whispered sharply when he reached them. The alien flinched, fear flashing in her eyes. She pulled the cloth tighter around her shoulders. The daughter looked confused. "Why, Dad?" "No one is here. No one we can see," the father muttered. That night, as the fire crackled, the alien woman sat near him, her hands twisted nervously in her lap. Finally, she spoke. "You should send me away," the father frowned. "Why would I do that?" Her voice was soft, heavy with sorrow. "Because danger follows me. Your people hate mine. They will punish you if they find me here. I don't want your daughter to suffer because of me." The father stayed silent for a long moment. He looked at his daughter, curled up on the bed, fast asleep with the doll still in her arms. Then he looked back at the alien woman. "She already loves you," he said finally. "Sending you away would break her heart." And he paused, his voice lowering. "It would break mine too." The alien's eyes widened in shock. She lowered her head quickly, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why would you care for me? I am nothing." The father's voice was steady, but his eyes softened. "Because my daughter sees something I was too blind to see. You're not nothing. You're part of this home now." The alien pressed her hands against her face, trembling. The doll lay nearby, and she clutched it again, as if it anchored her to this strange new life. The next day, the bond grew even stronger. The daughter insisted that the alien woman sit with them at the table, not in the corner. "Family eats together," she declared firmly, refusing to take a bite until the alien joined them. The alien woman sat down slowly, her hands shaking. But when the girl passed her a piece of bread with a wide smile, something inside her cracked open. She took the bread, her lips trembling as she whispered, "Thank you." The father met her eyes across the table. For the first time, she didn't look away. Outside, the world still whispered, suspicious and cruel. But inside that small wooden house, a fragile bond was growing stronger every day, woven not with fear or shame, but with kindness, trust, and the innocent love of a child. And for the alien woman, who had lived so long believing she was worthless, every moment at that table felt like a miracle she dared not lose. The days of quiet could not last forever. The father knew it, and deep down, so did the alien woman. Every smile, every laugh shared inside the wooden house felt like a fragile treasure that might break if the outside world touched it. But the little girl didn't know fear. She only knew truth. One morning, the sun shone warmly through the window. The father chopped wood outside while the alien woman tried to sew torn cloth into something that looked more like a dress. Her fingers fumbled, but she worked patiently, determined to be useful. The little girl bounced beside her, humming. She placed flowers in the woman's hair, weaving them into a messy crown. "Now you look like my sister," she said with a giggle. The alien woman froze. Her hands shook and her eyes widened. "Sister?" she whispered, almost afraid to believe it. "Yes," the girl said proudly. "You're part of our family now. Dad is my dad, and he can be yours too. And you're my sister." The alien's lips trembled. She pressed her hands to her face, tears slipping through her fingers. The word family felt heavier than anything she had ever carried. Yet somehow it also lifted her. made her feel lighter. The father, chopping wood outside, overheard his daughter's words. His axe slowed mid-swing. He turned and looked back at the window. Inside, he saw the alien woman clutching the girl tightly, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. The sight made his chest ache. His daughter's innocent truth had cut through every wall of shame. But peace never lasted long. Later that day, while they fetched water from the river, the alien woman bent low, carrying the bucket with quiet strength. The girl skipped beside her, singing. She was careless with her joy, and her laughter carried across the trees. And that's when it happened. A man from the village, walking the path with his hunting bow slung across his shoulder, stopped. His eyes narrowed as he spotted them by the river. He saw the girl holding hands with someone who clearly wasn't human. Her scars, her pale skin, her strange glowing eyes. The man's face hardened. He turned quickly, heading back toward town. The alien woman's heart dropped. She had seen him. She knew that look. It was the same look she had seen all her life. The look of judgment, of disgust, of someone about to spread whispers like wildfire. She froze, panic flooding her veins. "They know," she whispered, her voice trembling. "They will come. You must send me away." The girl squeezed her hand tightly. "No," she shouted, surprising even her father, who had just arrived with firewood on his back. "You can't leave. Your family." The alien looked at the child, stunned. "If I stay, they will hurt your father." "They will hurt you." But the little girl shook her head fiercely, her eyes shining with tears. "I don't care. I want you here. I love you. You're my sister. You're beautiful. Your family." The father dropped the wood to the ground and rushed to them. His eyes were dark with worry. He had seen the villager too. His hands gripped the alien woman's shoulders. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "You do not leave. Do you understand? If they come, we face it together." Her eyes filled with fear. "But why? Why risk everything for me?" The father's jaw tightened, but his voice softened. "Because my daughter is right. You are not just some stranger anymore. You're part of us now. And no one takes family away from this house." The alien woman broke. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing harder than she ever had before. She wasn't weeping from shame this time. She was weeping because, for the first time in her life, someone had chosen her, not in pity, not by accident, but by love. That night, as the girl snuggled between her father and the alien woman by the fire, she whispered sleepily, "Don't worry. We'll always be together." The father stayed awake long after, staring into the flames. He knew the villager's eyes had seen too much. He knew trouble was coming. But when he looked at his daughter's peaceful smile and the alien woman's tear-streaked face, he swore silently to himself, "Whatever happens, I will not let this family be torn apart." The morning came heavy with silence. The father knew it before the knock even came. He had felt it in the air all night, the weight of whispers turning into action. The knock was hard, sharp, and angry. The little girl jumped in fright. The alien woman froze, clutching the doll so tightly it almost broke. The father stood slowly, his face set in grim calm. He opened the door. 3 men from the town stood outside. Their eyes were hard, their voices sharp. One pointed a finger at him. "We've heard stories," the man spat. "You're hiding one of them here. An alien." The father's jaw tightened. "Go home. There is nothing here for you." But another man stepped forward, holding his lantern high. His eyes flicked past the father's shoulder. In the corner of the room, the alien woman stood trembling, her scars visible in the morning light. "There," the man shouted. "Look at her, filth. You endanger us all by keeping her here?" The father moved quickly, stepping into the doorway, his body shielding her. His voice thundered. "She is under my roof." "You will not touch her," the men sneered. "You think your word is stronger than the whole town? She doesn't belong here. Send her out or we'll drag her out ourselves." Inside the house, the alien woman sank to her knees, shaking. She had known this day would come. Her shame returned, pressing like iron against her chest. "I should go," she whispered, tears blurring her vision. "If I leave, you'll be safe." But before she could rise, a small hand grabbed hers. The daughter stood in front of her, her little face fierce, her eyes blazing with tears. She turned toward the men at the door and shouted with all her heart, "She's family! She's my sister. You can't take her away." The room fell silent. Even the men outside blinked in shock at the child's voice. The alien woman gasped, her hands trembling as the word struck deep into her heart. Sister. She was being claimed, not as a burden, not as a stranger, but as family. The father stepped forward, his voice steady and strong. You hear her? This is my daughter's truth, and it is mine too. She stays. If you want to drag her away, you'll have to drag us all. The men shifted uneasily. They had expected fear, weakness, surrender. But what they saw was different. A father standing tall, a child unafraid, and an alien woman no longer hiding, but holding her head higher than she ever had before. The leader growled. You'll regret this. The town won't protect you. The father's voice was calm, but like stone. I don't need the town's protection. I have my family. That is enough. The men muttered among themselves, then turned and left, their anger sharp, but their steps uncertain. When the door closed, silence filled the house again. The alien woman collapsed, shaking, her tears flowing freely. Why? She sobbed. Why stand for me when the whole town stands against you? The father knelt beside her, resting a hand gently on her shoulder. Because no one takes family from my house. The daughter threw her arms around the alien woman's neck. I told you. You're beautiful. You're my sister. You belong here. The alien woman wept into the child's hair. Her shame, carried for so long, finally began to crumble completely. For the first time, she believed she was more than scars, more than rejection. She was loved. That night, the three of them sat by the fire together. The father's hand rested on the alien woman's, steady and strong. The girl leaned against both of them, humming softly. Outside, the town might still whisper. Trouble might still come. But inside that small wooden house, a new beginning had already been written. The alien woman lifted her head, her glowing eyes filled not with fear but with something new. Hope. She whispered softly, almost to herself. Maybe I can be more than broken. The father looked at her and replied, You already are. And the little girl, drifting into sleep between them, smiled as if she had known the truth all along. For in that home, a human, his daughter, and an alien woman found what none of them thought possible: love, family, and the strength to stand against the world together.